Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Bros in Different Area Codes. I'm Derek once again. I am so thankful today to have somebody that I've technically known for several years. His name is Anthony Mustico, and he has started a coaching program and basically a life program called Freedom by Failure. We both have pretty similar stories in our lives, and I brought him here today to kind of share his side and introduce you guys to Freedom by Failure, which I so happen to be a part of the group a little bit. I'm in our Discord, and there's a lot of guys in there that I think are doing pretty freaking well thanks to this guy. And hey, welcome to the channel, man. I'm glad to have you on.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, freedom by failure, is pretty unique in a sense of I'm more focused on building the community side than my actual one-on-one coaching, and I'm actually currently in like a restructured point. Not to get off in the weeds, but I had a what I would call a mental health spill. I had a bit of a setback, and it allowed me to regroup and kind of refocus and realize that that's where I want to focus is providing more of a community structure, a brotherhood, because I think that's where the real power is. That's where the real transformation can take set, so to speak. That's where the glue hardens.
100%, man. Well, I am super stoked on hearing that, and you know that I love. I think I've been a little silent in that Discord, but life's been kind of crazy. But first and foremost on here, man, we're all about area codes here. So why don't you give me a little breakdown where you're currently at and where you're from and places in between?
Currently, I'm in the 412. I'm down in Pittsburgh, really in the suburbs. I've really only lived in the Elmira, New York area. I've floated other areas. You could say I lived overseas, but because I worked over there and I was over there more than I was home, my actual residence has never really changed. So the 607 is kind of a bittersweet number for me, you know? But yeah, really those are the two main spots that I can call, places that I've been home
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Hell, I've got the 607 tattooed on me. That's always home. And I think we were having a conversation a little before this about the Pittsburgh area code. Both of us weren't intelligent enough to pull up Google and really figure out what the area code there was, and I'm like referencing, like running through Wiz Khalifa lyrics in my head, like so.
That's where my brain went. So like music.
Exactly. I'm like, and then I'm thinking of like bands from Pittsburgh. I'm like, man, like what bands do I know? Stuff like that. So, well, hey, man, again, thank you so much for being here. And, this is one of those things that like I really wish I could do in person with people. Dude, I like getting together. Hell, I think I'd rather hit the gym with you before recording anything. But I'm just thankful for you being here. And hey, man, I'm kind of going to give you the floor a little bit and like just give us a quick synopsis of life, like growing up, teen years, kind of building into where you're at now in life.
Yeah, man. So as we discussed, I grew up in, the Elmira area, more specifically in a trailer park. Might have some relevance to where I end up. Man, I was kind of an outcast of a kid, I was socially awkward. So I had social anxiety. I didn't realize it at the time. But, and this is I don't blame anybody. I don't blame my parents, but that's the environment I was brought up in. And I never really fit in until, what was it? Probably like junior year of high school, 16, 17 years old when I got into partying and I got into cars, I got into tuners and was real big into racing because it was, high risk, high reward, that kind of adrenaline thing. So it paired nicely with, alcohol and then drugs. And then, well, I kind of made a career of that. And I started to get my shit together actually for a small period at 20. A couple of my friends got some pretty lengthy prison sentences or were facing pretty lengthy prison sentences. I don't want to disclose all that, but I kind of was like, man, I either need to work a shit job or go do something with my life. And I went to community college and got a degree in electrical technology. And that was a good 2 year period of my life. I smoked a lot of weed so I wouldn't drink and do other drugs. So I was still under the influence. I was still using, but it was better than what I was doing. So I get out of college and I land a job locally, and within like 8 months, I get a job offer to go in the oil and gas industry in the oil field. And I started that in 2013 and been doing that ever since. Worked all over the world, and it's been a hell of a career. I wouldn't suggest it to most. It's a good thing to do if you're young with no wife, with no kid, but it wrecks your ability to maintain a family life, especially because it allowed me to become a fully functioning addict because I was making good money and I was in an industry that kind of glorified that, like the work hard, party hard ideology to like the millionth degree, I would say. And I embraced that, right? Because I was looking to fit in and man, fucking fit in there. So
Yeah.
kind of had that pause, of college, which I still drank and stuff, but nothing like I was. Then when I got in the oil field, it kind of ramped up. And by I'd say 25, 26, I was pretty deep. Um, until 32 is when I started to change.
Yeah, man, it's crazy that like, just a little backstory on me and Anthony. I mean, Anthony and I met in seventh grade in middle school. I happened to move to the Elmira area and found myself in this middle school that was way bigger than anything I was used to at the time. And kind of the same thing, socially awkward, into way different things than most people. Had a very small group of friends. And I don't think you and I really hung out much outside of school and stuff like that. But I just always remember getting along with you. Like I for sure just remember like we kind of ran in the same circles and stuff like that. I was just never out much, like during that time and everything. But like I was not doing the best things. I just wasn't doing them with a lot of people. But I mean, I feel like you and I always had like a friendship. We were always cool with each other. We always talked. I think when we were around each other and everything. And I think that's what's so crazy is like, we went these different paths. I obviously moved away from the area in this past year. I kind of really got into the fitness thing and stuff quite a few years ago, got into strongman, all that stuff. And then I think just out of the blue, you popped up on like Facebook or something. And I think I saw your picture and I was like, dude, shredded. What is going on? This is crazy. And, we followed each other on social media. And I think it was a few weeks or whatever. I think I just sent you a message and I was like, hey man, this thing you're doing is awesome. I'm super into like, guys being together and having community. And because I think it's so important. And, I think the other cool thing is too, is like now we're at that age where like we're all dads too, and really bringing that into the forefront and like making sure being a father is like that first thing. A father and a husband is just like that first thing in your life. And you were promoting that and I thought that was awesome. I reached out and I was like, hey man, anything I can do to help, let me know. And kind of changed my ways. I want pretty much right around the same time you did for all intents and purposes. I mean, I've been sober for 6.5 years, and it's kind of crazy that like our generation and like a certain subsect of our generation is like finding sobriety now and like really kind of settling into like we've all done okay for ourselves, right? Like we have careers and all this stuff, but like we were still kind of like living that party lifestyle and trying to intertwine the two. And now all of a sudden it's like there's this group of us that's like, man, sobriety is actually pretty cool, and having a little community is way cooler than like my community of getting drunk. Like it's a way
Yeah.
different world. So I just have to say, man, like freedom by failure for me, like it's an awesome program that you started. I think it's so cool. I can't wait to see where it goes. And I look forward to kind of being a part of it, like just in a sense of just being amongst the community. I think it's super cool. So we made it up that far, man. How's life today? How's things now, man? Since your sobriety and kind of getting your life through like fitness and stuff like that, how's like family life and all that for you now?
I'll kind of backtrack a little because I kind of just
Sure.
stopped at 32, 32. What happened was the catalyst for me was I remember this like it just happened 10 minutes ago. I was sitting on the couch and I was with my son, and it was ended January, beginning of February. And for Christmas, I had gotten him this knockoff Lego pirate ship because the one he wanted was like 1,500 bucks. And I'm like, well, you're not getting a $1,500 pirate ship that you're going to destroy. So anyway, I bought the knockoff one. And albeit that those are pretty challenging on their own, I was sitting on the couch out of breath in a pool of sweat and just being a fucking asshole to my kid, to my wife over this Lego set. And like, I just looked down and just like, I was just ashamed of myself. I was ashamed of myself. And the big picture kind of hit right there. And so I was like, at the very least, I had a coworker who had recently just got back into the gym, and I was never a fitness guy. Like not in high school, not ever. Like I never lifted weights. I never took care of myself like that. So think it was number one, just the extreme idea, right? This
Mhm.
dude was like telling me that I need to go to the gym. He wasn't wrong. I was almost 300 pounds, or I was 300 pounds, and I didn't have any muscle. I wasn't like I was a 300-pound hefty guy. Like I was just a 300-pound blob, dude, and very, very weak at the time because, the last 5 years of my life had been spent in supervisor roles. So I got off my tools at work and a lot less physical labor. So yeah, I just did the next day. I just went in and it was a fucking blizzard. And I was like, let's go. And he's like, what do you mean it's a blizzard? I'm like, no, it's now or never. Like I sign up, I commit, and I went to the gym and they were about to close and they let me in and I signed up and I've been going ever since. And, at first it started off as I'm going to lose some weight. And that snowballed really and quickly into I just loved it. I loved the time at the gym, and my addictive nature took hold. And I was doing the whole like 3 hour gym sessions every chance I could, 7 days a week. And, through I say trial and error, but really just all error loss. I lost 50, 60 pounds, but I was like decimated. And I was like, maybe I should learn about some of this stuff. And that's really when it took off for me, like my passion to fitness, because when I started to learn about it, I started to see what it was doing for my life. And in this time, I started off with drinking on Saturdays and Sundays. And then as that inhibited my progress, I started pulling back on the drinking and the drugs. And well, it wasn't intentional. I'd like to say it was intentional, but I still thought I had control over it.
Mhm.
So I go a couple years this way of kind of, the ups and downs. And I was basically at a point where I was drinking like every 4 months, but it was like a binge,
Yeah.
like it was like
Hardcore.
vacation. Yeah. Go on like vacation, like, or just like a 4 day weekend. And me and my wife decided to take a vacation to Mexico. And this was last year in April. And we get down there and all inclusive resort, right? So I do the shit I do. And I turn into the asshole that I turn into while I'm drinking. And me and my wife have a blog, of course. I caused it, right? Let's make that clear. I get up the next day, it's like noon. I'm fucking soaking wet from taking a shower with my clothes on. Like I'm just all fucked up. And my wife's like, tell me where you went last night. kind of just give me the story. I don't want no bullshit. So I'll tell you what I can remember. And I told her, and she was just kind of like over it. Like not in it, not like I'm done with you, like she should have been, like she had multiple times before for good reason. We had we had divorced for 3 years because of my shit, and got back together from 2016 to 2019. We were apart, but we remarried in 21. I think it was 20. It's terrible,
You better
but
figure that out.
yeah, yeah. I got the certificate. Anyway, so that's kind of the history. Is like I had really been working to fix my marriage, and when I seen the fact that she was just like, it was just unconditional love. That's when it all hit me. I was like, this woman has no other way she could have endured the shit that I put her through other than unconditional love. Like that's the true definition of it. There wasn't conditions to how much she loved me because she was away from me for 3 years, right? She's seen that life is sustainable without me. Financially, I mean, we know how divorces go. I took care of her. Like we had a very civil divorce, but it wasn't like, I mean, yeah, her and my son were well provided for. And I obviously took my son when I was off from work. So yeah, that was the day, man. That was the last day. That was the last time I came home, and it was probably about a week later. I'm sitting on my back patio watching my dogs in the yard, and it hit me, man. I was like, I'm never gonna drink or use drugs again. And panic attack, just like well, knots in my stomach, just wanted to throw up. And I was like, shit, like I have a real problem here. And that was the start of my sobriety, which, you know, was a rocky few months, but about last year, about August, September, I kind of got my bearings. I had bloated up because in those post sobriety months, you know, it always seemed to hit like after 6 to 8 weeks of being sober, I would start binge eating. And I never, for the last couple of years, I never thought nothing of it. I just thought it was my dieting. Like, I'm like, oh, it's diet fatigue. But this time, like the fact that I was like pushing that 4 or 5 months, you know, when I got into that territory of not having a drink, it just got brutal. So I went and seen a psychiatrist, tried some different medications, got on stuff that worked for a little bit to get at least get my, you know, so I didn't gain 150 pounds. And I dropped a bunch of weight. And that's when I was ready to start Freedom by Failure, you know. So it was really like, this is my life. This is how I turned it around. So if it worked for me, I really hope it can work for other people. And it has been. It's not a wild success, but that's what got me started on that. And then that was this past January. And I've been kind of, you know, pushing on that. And like I said earlier, I've had a little setback here coming off of the antidepressants and then kind of having to go back on, but that's how it goes, you know. And but I am on a lower dose, so I did make
That's good.
progress. It just I I I relate it to I tried to go from like a 125 bench to a 500. It just wasn't, dude. The bar didn't move, you know, and I was like, for the first time in like 8 years, I was stable off of medication. Like, yeah, life was really hard. Like, I was like, this sucks. And I had to make the decision of devote everything to fixing my mental health or use some medication and just build off of that and then slowly lower it over time. So that's actually that's where I'm at today, is kind of on the rebound of that. Just a few days ago, I kind of restructured my diet, you know, and getting back into pushing down again. I'm really chasing low body fat because I want to grow without gaining a lot of fat. So it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. The food is definitely my last vice, man, because you know, I don't have alcohol. I don't have drugs. I won't use anything that changes my, um, I'll say constitution or sense of reality in any
Mhm.
capacity. Anything that influences me like that, or basically if I can feel it other than caffeine or some kind of stimulant, I'm not going to use it because I'm not playing that game. You know, I was into gambling for years,
Sure.
porn, and I mean, really sex. Like when me and my wife were divorced and I was working overseas, like, yeah, prostitution's legal over there. And I took that to the extreme. So it's not, if it's not good, I've done it. I've done it to excess. So that's where life's at today, man. Just working, honestly, my family is the most important, and then it's like just trying to build community with people and connect with people that are positive. That's really like that's really my thing, is like I don't care what you're into. If you're a positive, growth minded individual, we're gonna get along. Like that simple. And you know what? It's sad, man. It's sad to see the state of a lot of people. I'm being serious. It bothers me. Like see people get upset over this stuff, and I'm like, dude, it's nothing. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
Regardless
Not
of
a
what it
problem.
is, right? So,
Yeah.
and no, I'm the same way, man. I'm like, I went for my mid late 20s is kind of when I got into the gym. It was never really a big thing for me. I was kind of one of those guys. I was always kind of like skinny fat throughout my whole teens, 20s, stuff like that. And I just never really cared. I had done certain things, tried different things, tried getting into it, never really found a passion for it. Then in my late 20s, I had a coworker, same thing, man. I was working for AT&T of all things, and it's always a guy named Brian. I swear to you. For me, it's a dude named Brian. Like one of my best friends right now is my buddy Brian, who got me into strongman. And before that, it was my buddy Brian Nelson who got me just into lifting. Like he convinced me to come to the gym. I was overweight, and that's when I fell in love with it. But I fell in love with getting strong. Like that was where my heart kind of fell in it. And so for me, like, yeah, losing the weight was cool, but like getting bigger, getting stronger was kind of what I fell in love with. And so, then you start chasing numbers. You start chasing numbers on your squat, deadlift. We don't talk about bench. We don't do that here. How much you bench, bro? We don't know. How much can you overhead press? How about that? Let's talk about that.
I'll say that's one of the things, man, is I have a weak bench, but I actually have a pretty good overhead press. Yeah, I
Same.
don't train the way you do, but it's funny because I just naturally have a good overhead press. Luckily,
I mean, my only issue is I have these crazy long monkey arms, so my any pressing motion for me is just hard. So it kind of pushes me more to get better at it. But yeah, man, and then like we moved from New York to Kansas City and I fell off the bandwagon. I really stopped lifting. I'd get in back into it here and there. And then we moved from Kansas City to Georgia and it was like I was like, man, I want to get back in shape. I do miss the gym, stuff like that, and I started getting back into it because I had gotten up to like 285 pounds and I was just miserable. So I started doing it, started getting back in the gym, really kind of documenting my progress and stuff like that. And then within like 6 months, it was like 6 months, 6 months into it, I actually broke my tibia. And then, so that took me out of it for 12 weeks or whatever it was. Feel like I had to have surgery. I have a plate and screws in my tibia. And, that took me out. But as soon as like they were like, you can walk again and stuff like that, like one of my first questions is like, am I cool to put weight on it to start lifting again? And they were like, just what you can handle. And I was like, awesome. And it was straight back into it. I've had my highs and lows throughout the last, like 6 years, 6 or 7 years. It kind of up and down. I got to like my lowest body weight, like 4 years ago. And then I got into strongman. And that kind of just made me like, we can gain weight and get strong. And that's kind of been the wrong answer. So now I'm back in back down. I should be in a lower weight class. I'm batting above my body weight right now when it comes to weights and stuff like that. Pretty strong guy, but not that strong. And, it's the same thing for me, man. I like hearing all of that from you. It's like I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, like there's so many things that parallel through our lives. Like, the thing that brought me to sobriety was my wife leaving. She covered it. I was out of town working. She covered it as, hey, you're gone. We're just going to go visit family in New York. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And then that basically turned into, I'm not coming back home unless you make the decision of us or alcohol. And I love my family way more than alcohol. On that trip, I was in Philadelphia working, and on that trip, I had like one last hurrah with coworkers and friends, and I rode in a car from Philadelphia back to Georgia completely hungover, and that was the last time I drank. It was the last time I touched alcohol. Gave my wife my the apologies she 100% deserved, and I haven't touched drop alcohol since then. And so it's one of those things where it's like it took a big moment to make me realize how bad it actually was. But I think once I actually did it and realized how easy just stopping doing that was, it's like, well, yeah, I should have done this a long time ago. And it was that same thing too, right? Where it like alcohol 100% hinders your progress in the gym, losing weight, all that stuff. It absolutely destroys your body. So that is one plus, but in the same realm, I love food. I like to eat. One of my biggest vices is sweets and stuff like that. So keeping myself away from that stuff is something I have to do. And, I've got a few gut issues and stuff like that that should keep me from eating certain things, but I've kind of gotten to that point where I know how much of it I can eat before it's going to make me sick. So, I push that a little far sometimes, but kind of like, I don't know, man, seeing you and like the progress that you've helped with some of the guys that you do work with, has even like kind of re-sparked that in me where I'm like, oh man, like it's so cool to see these guys doing it. And then I look at myself and I'm like, why am I not doing that? And so again, it's that community. So I think a lot of people, dude, and I'm terrible at it. I'm so bad about texting back, calling back, all of those things. I'm kind of a hermit, really. I I have my acreage here in the North Georgia mountains, and my family's here, and I kind of like it like that. Having that connection to a community is really so important. I've got you guys. I've got for me. I've got a church community and stuff like that. And like, I think you're probably just like me too, where when one of the bros or somebody at the gym is like, "Hey, you're looking big," like, or like you look like, well, thank you, like, because I mean, I've definitely got some body dysmorphia. I look at myself and still just see a fat slob 99% of the time. I mean, I'll look at myself in the mirror at the gym and have a really good pump and be like, man, you suck. Like, what are you even trying to do?
Yeah, the body dysmorphia is pretty strong. I just went on vacation, a couple weeks ago, a little mini vacation. We went down to Summersville, West Virginia, and I'm sitting there with my wife, and there's like this nice lake there. Me and my kid are out swimming. She's sitting on a little beach area, and I walk up and I'm like, I feel so fat. I look terrible. And she's like, you have visible abs. You're the most fit guy here. There's like 150 men here, and you are like by far and I'm like, no, I was way more shredded. Like, you know what I mean? And I think it's because, that I, I never had that.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the first things that I honestly earned. Like I can say, like I put in the effort without bullshit, without lying, without deceiving. Like, and that, I think that's why it means so much to me is like, it can't be taken away from me in a sense. And again, it's being a shitbag for 18 years of my life and just lying and deceiving people. Like, finally, I don't have to do that, or I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't earn, it feels good. And then when I kind of fall off, I'm pretty hard on myself. And I'm also like, a self-sabotager because it's like I can grab like a brownie, and then once I eat that brownie, I'm like, well, today's fucked. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. It's just,
I'll
I
never get this back.
might as well eat 10,000 calories because, I'm fat again.
It's
So yeah,
it,
the body's more rough.
it's so bad, especially for like working in an office. It's like it's always somebody's birthday or something, and at least like once a week. And there's what do they want? They want a cake or they want cookies or they want donuts or something. And I'm like, man, that's gonna sit right outside my office, and you're gonna you're testing me all the time. Like, don't eat this stuff. But I think that realization kind of hits sometimes, right? Where it's like, like one slice of cake really isn't going to hinder all of my progress. One donut's really not going to set me back the amount of work I've put in this entire week or whatever, and it's like having that mindset a little bit, but it's like also having enough willpower to stop at that one where you're just
Yeah.
like, I can have one donut, I can have one slice of cake that's not like a quarter of the cake.
Yeah. That's how I always tell people, like, it is easier to fast than it is to diet.
Yeah.
Like, which I don't do this, but I've thought about it, is just like the one meal a day thing, because I know I could stick to that no problem. It's just the fact that even at one meal a day, I can overconsume
Yes.
with ease. Like,
Absolutely.
and that's, there was one time I tried I was like, you know what? You can just eat as much whole food as you want and you'll never like gain weight. That's not true either. That's not true. Like, it's not like, because I don't think people understand either. Like, when you have addiction and it's not just the food. It's not, I love food as well. And I'm like you, man, the sweets. I've always been a sweets guy. But like, dude, I think like 10 apples and like 18 bananas in one sitting. And it's like, I'm gonna gain weight. There's a lot of calories here. Like, that was just like, so yeah, which I do obviously promote that people eat more whole foods. It's more satiating. It makes you feel better. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's really where I've led my nutrition in the last probably 6 to 8 months, especially since like starting Freedom by Failure, was like helping guys program their nutrition to their life. Like,
Mhm.
when do you want energy? When you want to feel tired? Like, that's important. So, and you can manipulate nutrition to do that, which is pretty cool. But again, I mean, it's funny because I coach guys in the weight loss and to build muscle. But hey, man, I'm open and honest. I struggle with it. I struggle with it. If I have the one, it's usually number one. It's usually number
Brother,
one.
brother, you were just doing this whole banana thing a few weeks ago. I was like, he's a madman. I don't know what's going on here. I saw the results, so I was like, hey, there's got to be something to that. You know what I mean? There's just like,
The banana thing was funny because I made this stupid banana video and I wasn't even gonna post it. Like, I was literally just fucking around with myself. Like, I had my phone in my hand and I was eating a banana. And I love bananas. I probably eat 3 or 4 of them a day if I can fit them in my diet. And I just recorded this like really short video of me saying that bananas had a bunch of testosterone in them, or that they raised testosterone. And I posted it, and the fucking video just like kind of took off. Like, it didn't go viral for it's my highest video by a lot. And it was fun. I just kind of played off of that. And at the time, I was messing around with the sugar diet, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a pretty unique concept. And I think it has its place. And where I didn't, where it missed the mark for me was recovery. I just couldn't recover. And I can't, like, no matter how many times I've tried, I can't not train to failure. Like, I know it's not probably the best, but that is the mental side of the gym. And I think that's what really draws me to the gym, is pushing my body until it just quits and then being pissed off about it. So when you train like that and you're going low protein or some days no protein, and there was days where I wasn't even eating any starches. It was all basically sugar via fruit and honey and maple syrup and candy, fat-free candy. And now the energy through the day was amazing. But after like a couple days of that, you start to get that real CNS fatigue, which I'm sure
Yeah.
like coming out
It,
of a competition or something, you got to be crushed. And that was that took me back to when I was doing the crazy crash dieting on 1,200 calories and working out for 3 hours at a time and doing an hour of cardio a day. It took me back to that. And I'm like, nope, like I'm not, because for me, the balance is really important for my family. So I will not make the sacrifices for fitness or for anything to take this is going to take away on the top end when I've got to be present for my family. And that was cool. But yeah, the sugar diet, really unique concept. I think it would work great for people that are doing more of a, what I'll call a cardio style, which I know you probably call what I do cardio style, but it's, but yeah, if you're going in the gym and you're just doing your 8, 12 reps and when you're done you're not seeing stars, like, yeah, you're probably gonna do really well on a sugar diet.
and the reality is, right? I mean, I think when you really break it down to its the pure basics of gym and food, it's calories in, calories out. What are you taking in? What are you exerting out? I mean, it's the most basic way to look at it. And
Yeah,
I really think like any serious nutritionist is going to tell you the same thing. I mean, and if you're not tracking that stuff and doing all of that, like you have no idea what's going on. And I mean, the level of technology we have for this now is absurd. I mean, use my smartwatch for all my workouts and stuff like that. And like it's tracking my heart rate, counting my calories that I'm burning, which is usually hit or miss on how accurate that actually is, right? But
yeah,
close enough to, know that I can probably knock a few hundred off of it and it's close to what I burned that day. I'm also a bigger guy, so I'm burning a lot more. And I mean, I only touch weights. And I think, the people that don't see the difference and all they're doing is going in and walking on the treadmill for an hour, I'm like, if you put that same effort into 20 minutes of weight training, you'd see way better results 100% of the time. And you don't even have to go
yeah,
crazy. You don't even got to lift heavy. You just like getting that constriction and blood flow and breakdown, and you're burning so much more energy and so many more calories when you pick up some weights and do all of that. And, you don't have to be a psychopath like me or you or something that goes into the gym and just absolutely annihilates ourselves every single time. Like I have a coach for strongman now, and you know I can knock out my workouts are usually done in less than an hour and a half. I'm there for 60, 90 minutes, and it's usually a total of between 4 to 6 exercises. And, he
yeah,
kind of gives me that freedom to add in some other accessory work and stuff if I want to. But when I take those 4 to 6 exercises as serious as I can and push myself, I'm beat. Like,
yeah,
I'm drenched in sweat. I'm absolutely beat up. And, that for me is like I know I had a successful session. Like if I walk out of the gym not feeling satisfied, I'm like, man, the rest of my day is not going to go as well as I want it to. Um,
yeah,
and
man.
and
Now,
I'm to the point too where like if I'm home and I'm having an attitude or something and just not being my normal self, my wife will kick me out of the house and send me to the gym. She's like, because she knows like that for me. I mean, I think it's kind of. I mean, some people say it jokingly, like, "Oh, the gym is my therapy," but like, really, it
Mhm.
is for me.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
place for me to kind of go release like everything because I don't have to think about anything while I'm there. Pick this up, put it down, and it's kind of that freedom to just like not have to be indulged in something. Like I always have my earbuds in, and most of the time I couldn't even tell you what I was listening to while I was in there and stuff like that.
yeah. No, Derek, I feel the same way, man. Is like the gym went from this kind of like goal oriented thing for me where like it was very specific. I was really chasing a lot of vanity in my body to I just started like working on my mind in there. And when I did that, I had the same like I had the same realization of like, dude, I do 5 exercises, maybe 6, like just like you. Like sometimes 4. Like, because I can't like I'm not doing any more than that. I don't need to do any more than that. If I do more than that, I'm just burnt. Like it's pointless. There's no reason why you need to go any more than that if you're going hard. If you're not going hard, you can do fucking 20 exercises and it doesn't matter, which there's nothing wrong with that either. Like
Yeah.
I promote that as well. It's just for me, it's like when I'm in there, everything externally is, and it's me and the old me. And I've had some of my biggest breakthroughs. And when I get out, it's always walking through the door on the exit is like I breathe the air outside and I'm just calm. Like I'm not calm in the gym. Yeah, I'm basically, you know, picking up my demons and fighting the devil. And I probably, I look like a psychopath in there, I'm sure, which I don't give a fuck, but that's what I do, man. But when I'm done, it's like, dude, there's no medication that's going to give you better relief than that. Like,
And for me, man,
yeah.
like I'm still such a dude, like I have such a call it a Zen or whatever you want, but like deadlift day for me is like my one thing where I'm like, we're gonna crush this, we're gonna kill it. And like for me, if I have a bad deadlift session, like I beat myself up so much. Like a few weeks ago, I had like at a deload week and, my coach, I send him videos of all of like my top lifts and stuff like that. And I think I was pulling like 465 for like sets of 5 or something like that. And I think on the final set, I only hit like 3. And, when you're doing it, it feels like it's taking 10 minutes to pull it off the floor. And, sending the video, I kind of beat myself up in the message to him and stuff like that. And he's like, man, go back and watch that video. He's like, watch how fast that comes off the floor and you lock it out. He's like, sometimes we'll beat ourselves up and like, but like, go back and watch that video. He's like, there's reasons I have you record stuff for other than just like me seeing your form and stuff like that. I go back and watch the video and I'm like, oh, I ripped like 465 off the floor 3 times in like 8 seconds. Like, I was like, there's not, when it comes to the percentage of people that can do that, there's not a lot, you know?
I don't conventionally deadlift, but I'm pretty sure I could do
Yeah.
that.
And I mean, I know I've shared some videos with you guys. I think I, shared with you guys like me pulling 565 and 545 and stuff like that. And like, I'm in this big push by the end of the year. I want to pull 600 plus. And some days, man, I'll go in and like 500 pounds feels like 10,000. And then some
Mhm.
days I go in and 550 feels like 225.
I can relate to that too, man. Where like there's days where I get on it and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why am I? And I get real upset about that. Not upset, I
Yeah,
get real angry. Like, and then I just, just it fuels me. But there's just days where I think your body is like, fuck off. It's
100%.
it's fuck off, man. Like you did something stupid. And yeah, I think and that's what's so interesting is like fitness is like the foundation of life for me because really everything in life is all about consistency and persistence and just putting the reps in to no immediate gains, right? Like it's a little different for you. Like, yeah, you get to see you're chasing your numbers. But in the long run, it's not like you're going to go in there today, pull 500, and then next week pull 700, right?
Yeah,
Like there
right.
is a progression that you have to be patient for. And that's what it really taught me. And then that's what really was like the framework for freedom by failure. My life was like, I started applying that to everything. And then everything I applied it to and could stick to was we could call successful in.
Yeah.
I reached goals and I'm like, wow, it really is that simple. Can we just really just overcomplicate things?
Yeah.
And and that's what I mean. It's like whenever I'm struggling with stuff, that's where my mind goes. And that's what I can do is go to the gym and go through my routine and be like, just approach it like this. So that's kind of what happened with me coming off antidepressants is like, I just started lowering my dose and then just was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Then I wasn't fine. I wasn't
Yeah.
fine at
Right.
all. And it just hit me. I'm like walking and I made like a little short video on it. And I'm like, yeah, you're so stupid. You should have seen that coming from a mile away. Like you're not going to fix 18 years of abuse in 12 months, 15 months. Like it's just not
Yeah.
how it works. That's
Yeah.
not progressive overload, right? So
Exactly.
it's funny because you can literally there's not much I don't think there's anything you can't apply the principles of training and nutrition to. Like
Yeah.
really it encompasses everything in life. And that's what I think I really fell in love with. Because at first I went through a period where I thought I was gonna be a bodybuilder and I was chasing that, not a professional. I wasn't delusional at least. But I was like, but really what I was chasing in bodybuilding was the discipline, the structure, you know what I mean? The regimen, the community. Cause it was like, you've got this like niche community in that and of like the hardcore bodybuilding. And then I kind of pulled back on that. And I'm like, I don't need to identify as anything to still have that community
Yeah.
with people. Like, I mean, fitness is a broad thing. And then when me and you connected, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome," because I wasn't really, like, talking to anybody outside of, like, the bodybuilding stuff, and you were on this different path, but just talking to you, I'm like, "It's all the same," and that's why I was like, ecstatic to kinda get you involved because I'm like, there's a lot we can learn from people doing different variations of what we're doing, like, there's things that are going to cross over and it's going to help me or help you. And I
Mhm.
think that's super important when you keep an open mind. Like, yeah, when it comes to form, it's funny because the strong men and power lifters where I finally landed how to actually brace and breathe. And it's like I was doing it wrong for 2 years. And it's so stupid because you see all and I don't like throwing shade, man, but you see a lot of this science based bodybuilding. And I don't think it's bad information. I just think it's deck chairs on the Titanic, dude, because
Yeah.
if you're not bracing and breathing properly, you're not lifting properly, and you're going to
Yeah.
get hurt. I don't care
Yeah.
how light you keep it, how many reps, how much volume you do, you'll get hurt eventually because there's muscles in your body that need to activate to make you structurally sound.
Yeah.
And, I learned that literally like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So, I like literally when it like full encompass big picture, and I immediately went on and started. Obviously, I was talking with you. You had said some things that kind of was like, well, that makes a lot of sense, and I started looking at power lifters, strongmen, and I'm like. And then it's like it literally took me like a week of practice, 2 weeks, because I already had pretty good form. And once I incorporated that, all my little nagging pains went away. All these little weaknesses, my strength went through the roof and my lifts, my pumps got better. And yeah, and that's kind of what I preach now is like, that's 90% training. Like learn how to brace and fucking breathe. Like,
Yep.
please don't do what
Well,
I did.
I think I had shared the Alexander Bromley series with you guys on breathing and bracing. Um, and dude, it's almost like a Bible of sorts of like him teaching you. It's a 12 video series that's like just teaching you that like how important that stuff is. And it's crazy how once you learn it, and I mean, I'm a little weird and I'm kind of a nerd about some of that stuff. Like I'm such a nerd about form and proper breathing, bracing and stuff like that. Even before I found Bromley's stuff, but like watching his, it kind of made it even more serious to me. And then I implement it in like my daily life. So like
Yeah.
standing up from a chair, you'll catch me tightening my core and taking a breath. Like picking up the amount of people that I know that have thrown their back out getting groceries out of their trunk, or like getting up off the couch or something like that, and they throw their back out and end up having to have a surgery for like disc fusion or something. So I really started implementing it in my daily life, and like even my kids and my wife still laugh at me because I'll like tighten my core, take a breath, and like stand up from the couch, and they're like, "You're ridiculous," and I'm like, "But I don't get hurt, so
Yeah.
let's
No,
remember this."
that's crazy because I'm the same way because once I started learning it, it's like I'm gonna do it all the time. Like I just like I need to do things. I like to do things as efficiently and as quick as possible. So yeah, that's been me like the last 6, 8 months is just everything I did. Everything I mean, down to like, foot placement and glute engagement while I'm walking. Like I'm thinking about that. Yeah. Because another thing it does for me is it gets me out of my own head, right? Like I'll have, what most humans do, and that, when you're spiraling with anxieties or worries or whatever, and then I'm just like, I don't need to think about that. I need to make sure my glutes are engaging. So, my hips don't hurt next time I squat. Like, and it sounds trivial, but it's made my quality of life so much better.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy like the certain things that you learn that like even just in the gym, and you start to implement them just in daily life and stuff. And I don't think, and I mean, if you look at a lot of the top guys and girls and women and stuff like that in their sports, like they kind of live that same way, right? Where like you kind of see it in their lives implemented through their entire life, not just in the gym. And it's so important, man, because like I'm so I won't even call them irrational fears, but I have such crazy fears of like tearing a pec or tearing my bicep or something like that, that like if I'm pressing, benching, curling, whatever, like I'm so focused on like the exact constriction and retraction and stuff, and like watching my form and keeping everything tight. And it's like, yeah, like, and you start to realize that you're like you develop other muscles that make other muscles pop more, which is also really cool. But like also learning how to like brace even in like a bench press, like, making sure your shoulders are tight and just keeping everything super tight. And, it's such a game changer too. Cause like, man, like you said, like your
Oh yeah.
numbers, your strength exploded, your numbers exploded. And like you really find that when you start to really like put the form and function into it, it's a game changer. Like I can't tell you how many people that like even just in the gym, man, one of my like the gym I go to currently, like there's a lot of teens and stuff like that in it. And I try not to be like intrusive to them and stuff like that. But like I'll go talk to them if they're squatting, deadlifting, stuff like that, because I don't want to see anybody get hurt. The last thing I want to do is
Yeah.
be in the gym when somebody like hurts themselves. So I'll just kind of go over and try to give them some pointers, you know what I mean? And some of them are very receptive to it. Some of them just kind of shrug you off. And I'm like, I just always kind of lead it with like, man, I don't want to see you get hurt. Like, I don't want to see you actually have back problems in your early 20s because you're lifting improperly or something like that. I'm like, I'm sitting here at almost 38 years old, and I've never had like a serious gym injury. So I'd like to think that I've done things pretty okay to this point in my life, that I can say, I've deadlifted over 500 pounds. I can squat over 450, you know, and I've never had a serious injury doing it. And I think that that says a lot to just the general mindset of attacking what you're going after and doing it right. And again, that falls in line with diet and exercise as a whole. I don't expect everybody to be as ADHD and absurd about obsessing over learning these things, but learn something. You have access to it. I
Yeah.
think it's like you can't just turn on YouTube and watch like a CT Fletcher and think that you're going to know exactly how to do everything properly. It's getting to those basics of like, okay, how do I do a barbell row without throwing my back out? How do I
Right.
how do I do these things without hurting myself? And I see a lot of people who get taken out of the gym because of injuries, and they're like, oh, I like heck, I tweaked my back a couple weeks ago doing barbell rows. That's why I bring that one up. I got a knot in my shoulder blade because I didn't pull correctly. It is what it is. Got home and had my wife attack me with a massage gun for 45 minutes, and I cried a little. And
Yeah,
there's
no,
certain things. And
I kind of got, the I want to say the polar opposite. I had a bunch of injuries, and that's what kind of led me to it. Both my I had shoulder impingement bad, a lot of muscle imbalances. Luckily, I was never strong enough to really hurt myself. Like if I'd have been one of those naturally strong dudes, I'd definitely had a major injury under me. So I wasn't strong enough. And then when I started to get stronger, then it started becoming a real problem, because I'd get muscle pulls and stuff. And that's when I stepped back and started focusing on form. I fell down the rabbit hole, like I said, of kind of looking at it the wrong way. And then
Mhm.
when I just was like basics, learn how to breathe and brace, everything came together. And I've been able to kind of bring everything into balance now. This is the first time where like I would say my body's fully balanced. And I think it's just awesome. Like when I'm lifting, let's say I'm doing, bicep curls, is I can feel when my bicep releases on both ends. Like that's the end of motion for the bicep. And when you're that in tune with your body, it allows you to meet, for me anyway, it allows me to go deep into my mind and work on things outside of the gym because I was able to focus on, these muscles in my body. Like, okay, my shoulders, I can feel all my whole shoulder girdle nice and tight and it's not flexing. And the moment it starts flexing and moving, I'm like, you're done.
Yep.
Like you just failed because that's not a rep. So kind of holding that, what we would say is an extreme level has done nothing but help me greatly outside of the gym. And I'm not competitive in anything, at the gym. I'm saying I'm not doing bodybuilding shows or anything like that. And I don't know if I ever will. I'm not going to count it out, but it's just become a way of life. And yeah, it's in all parts of my life now. And it's done nothing but good. Like
Yeah.
that. So that's why I promote it. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody should lift.
We have a pretty big saying in my house, and it's been one of those things like I've got 5 kids, so potty training kids, right? And my wife is always saying it's listen to your body. Like your body is going to tell you everything that you're doing right or doing wrong. And especially when it comes to lifting and stuff, man, like it's so important to like just listen to what your body is telling you by feel and everything. And I think that's crazy important for a lot of people. And sometimes we don't like those feelings. I know that there's times that I ignore when my lower back's like, hey, we're done. And I'm like, no, I've got one more rep. Like, but it's really focusing on, and a lot of that for me is like being in competitive strongman. The goal really there for you is to push further and do things that are uncomfortable. And, I think that suffices with me. And unfortunately, it's kind of a negative for me sometimes because I'm like, all right, we're really going to see how far I can push myself doing these certain things. And, like you said, you had mentioned earlier with the CNS thing and, it crashing. And yeah, dude, after a competition, I'm gone for like a week and a half. Like my
Oh
CNS is
yeah.
just toast. And there's certain training sessions that I have that my CNS, like, I'm supposed to train the next day or 2 days from then. And like, if I wake up and my body is like, it's not it today, I'm like, yeah, you're right. We should probably not push that issue. And I might still go in and I might just hit some accessory work or something, but I'm not going to hit my big lifts. I'm not going to hit anything
Yeah.
crazy overhead or a squat or something like that. I'm just going to go in, do some mild accessory work, get the blood flowing and because that's also going to help with your recovery, getting that blood
Absolutely.
moving.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah. I'm
there's,
not a huge proponent of taking too many absolute rest days.
yeah.
Um, I I do think you probably should take some. I've definitely burned myself out by
Mhm.
not doing it. I wouldn't say I was in an overtrained state, but just systemic CNS fatigue. Um, yeah. I think the really cool thing too is like when you get this in tune with your body, like what you're talking about, you'll start to pick up like sicknesses a week before. Like it's wild. It is wild how I can tell, like, oh man, my blood pressure's probably a little off. And I mean, I check it pretty regularly, but
Mhm.
like, I can just feel it. Like, oh, I'm retaining water. Like I just know because like I know my body that well. And I think that's really important, man. I think it's really
Yeah.
important that you know these things, because you always hear, especially about men, especially with the suffer in silence kind of societal constraint we live under, dudes just drop dead and
Yeah.
like his appendix burst. And I'm like, look, I understand there are extreme situations, but like I'm so in tune with my body and I'm not like bragging. It's just I would know something. Like I would know like my patterns and everything, like my breathing, like I can tell when that's off. And so it's that's why I think it's super important. Like fitness in general is just so important because of that. Like it definitely will increase your life, but more so increase the quality of your life.
Yes. Yeah, dude, I find it to be like, especially for like, I'm sure it is for you as well, but like the fact that I can basically do anything with my kids, like get out and do whatever they want, whether it's playing, wrestling, any of that stuff. Like I'm not hindered. Like, yeah, I'm overweight right now, you know what I mean? But like I'm still able, I'm very able to, go out and run around with them and not just die, like be crazy out of breath in the first 10 seconds of being out with them. Now, I do live in North Georgia. It's hot and humid down here. I'm going to be a sweaty disaster regardless, but that's kind of how I live my life anyway. And the just being in tune with your body, I mean, we can beat that, like a dead horse and just say it, but like I think when you're really really into this, man, it's so important because you really do feel like when stuff is off, and I think I'm not the biggest proponent of off days or stuff either, you know what I mean? But like I've been off for the last 6 days. My wife's been traveling. She's out in Washington right now, or on her way back right now. But I kind of just took that time off, and I was like, you know what? I know it's going to be a bit of a struggle to not be in the gym for 6 days or whatever, but it's also recovery. Like it's really given my body a break to
Um,
like recover, try to get some good sleep. And, the one thing I really focused on during the 6 days was like watching my diet, like really focusing on what I'm eating. And like, dude, the past 6 days, I think I've dropped like 6 pounds. I've lost like a pound a day for some reason. And like, I haven't really changed anything other than like just eating straight up more protein. Like, I kind of kicked the carbs to the side a little bit and just started eating more protein, which I have to do anyway. I mean, I have a competition coming up at the end of next month, and my wife told me I'm not allowed to water cut anymore. Apparently, I'm not the nicest person when I water cut. I get it. I'm a miserable human when that happens. So the goal is, we're going to walk in the competition naturally and on weight and kind of do that. So, taking those processes and really implementing them and like not having to focus on the gym and stuff like that has actually kind of helped me dial my diet back in. So it's been really like kind of a good thing. Now, am I reeling to get back in the gym and absolutely want to be there? Like found myself a few times just cranking out some push-ups or, like I do have some sandbags around here and stuff like that, picking those up, throwing them, doing things like that and like finding any reason to pick up something heavy, like
you know,
but, I think that's another proponent of it too, right? Is like to be functional. I love the idea of being functional. So, um, but yeah, man, it's such a better thing for my life and my family's life overall because ultimately I'm a happier person, And I think the dopamine release and stuff that I get from the gym and I'm not chasing it somewhere else is super important as well. And again, I think one of the biggest things, and we can harp on this all night, but like community, whether that's just with the people in your life. And I'm not even saying it has to be community based around the gym or anything. It's, community can be made anywhere. It's just so important to have a community that's willing to hold you accountable. I think that's my biggest thing. Like, I don't like to keep people in my community who aren't going to be honest with me. I want the most, and don't get me wrong, being in the South now, I know that's more of a New York thing, right? That's a Northeast thing. We're a very honest group of people. And everybody thinks we're what? They think we're assholes because of that. But like, it's like, no, I just have an inability to not be honest with you. Like, I don't have that in my being. Like, I have to be honest with you. I can't just lie to you to your face. Like, I'd rather tell you the truth. And, I know that like, even the community freedom by failure is like, we're all pretty honest with each other in that group. And, I think it's a good thing. It really is. And especially when you bring that many different personalities together and everybody's being honest with themselves, it draws everybody tighter, even if there's some argument, but ultimately it brings everybody closer. Um, and it helps people to reflect on the things that they're doing and saying and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I think that the idea that we're not supposed to argue is such a false, like, why? Like, why can't we have a disagreement, talk about it, and either both agree that we're not going to do what the other person's going to do. We're just going to move past it because it doesn't matter. Because whatever you do doesn't affect me. One of us is going, you know what? That's valid. Like, I'm going to change the way I do things. Like, yeah, I think it's crazy that we can't just constructively debate, I guess, to put a different term on it, because we're all individuals. We're not that's where the power comes from of other people. Like that's where you grow, is when you're diversified in the group that you have and the people you associate with.
absolutely.
It's the same with your spouse. People, like, if you were with somebody that was just like you, well, then you guys would just have all the same flaws and they would never get better. Like, I mean, I understand it's a balance, right? You can't have too much variance. I think principles, let's say core principles or beliefs, kind of need to be on track, right? Like, people need to have the same higher up big picture thinking of it's got to relate some way. But at the end of the day, interest, ideas, like, that's where the power comes from, of a community, of a brotherhood, or whatever you want to call it, is having all that variance to learn from. And coming from a guy like me, I was the most closed-minded fucking person ever. Like, yeah, there was nothing open-minded about me. And it's a miserable way to live, though. It really is, because you're living on this fucking ego that is literally developed to impress people that you don't like. It's such a foolish way to live. Like,
Yeah.
it's a no, there's no win. There's no way to win, because you're always chasing the next thing. Like, and yeah, just dropping that and being open minded. Like, I'm really open minded. There's certain things that I draw lines in the sand with, but I'm not ignorant about it. Like, I just tell people, like, I'm honest. Like, hey, I don't want to talk about this. Or probably the number one thing that I'll use with people, just to make it diffuse, I'm like, I'm indifferent to that. So I don't want to put any time into it. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I
what
don't
you're
I don't
talking
have the
about.
energy for this.
Yeah, like, I do that a lot at work. I'm like, hey man, not trying to be a dick, but I'm very indifferent to what you're talking about. And what that means is I don't care and I'll never care. Like, right now, it's not part of my life. So I need to conserve my energy for things that are a bit more constructive. So, I mean, yeah, you can be called an asshole, but at the end of the day, that's I feel like it's self-respect, protecting protecting your time, your energy. Yeah, yeah, definitely get down with that. The honesty thing, man.
It's feel like, especially, I don't want to just say, oh, nowadays, but like it's kind of a hard place to be in, right? Where if you are just a straight up honest person and stuff like that, like people are either going to respect it or they're not. And I think you can really dictate the people that you're willing to keep in your life strictly based off of that. You know, the people you want to keep around you in your circle and in your community. And, you know, it's really, really based off of that. So, but hey, man, you have a family. I have a family. I want to respect your time. I super appreciate you coming on, and I definitely love the idea in your drive for freedom by failure. And, you know, you can just shout it out, let people know where they can find you, find the pages and stuff like that. And yeah, so go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. This has been great. Yeah, currently I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Branded either under my name or under the Freedom by Failure name. It's all moving to Freedom by Failure at the end of this week. So moving forward, just be Freedom by Failure. You'll be able to find me in any of those places. So yeah, love to connect with people, or if anybody's interested in joining the community, just hit me or Derek up.
Absolutely, man. Well, Anthony, brother, I really appreciate your time and thank you. This has been Bros in Different Area Codes.